Imagine a world where the darkest secrets are hidden in plain sight, where killers vanish into the shadows, and detectives are left chasing ghosts. Tonight, we unlock the case files of the most bizarre unsolved murders, real-life nightmares that still haunt law enforcement to this day. Welcome to Chilling Mysteries, where we dive deep into the true crime cases that refuse to let go. These are the stories that keep detectives awake at night and the rest of us looking over our shoulders. If you think you've heard it all, think again. These are not your typical unsolved murders. These are the cases that defy logic, mock investigation, and leave only chilling questions in their wake. Let's begin with a case that has puzzled not only detectives, but entire communities, a murder so strange, even seasoned investigators admit it's unlike anything they've ever seen. On the quiet morning of February 14, 2000, in the picturesque town of Sierra Vista, Arizona, a 32-year-old nurse named Lisa Lammers was found dead in her locked apartment. The scene was eerie. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no footprints, and not a single strand of DNA left behind. The only clue was a playing card, the Queen of Hearts, carefully placed on her chest. Detectives worked day and night, tearing apart Lisa's life, her phone records, her social media, her recent relationships. But nothing stood out. No enemies, no threats, no strange behavior in her final days. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide by asphyxiation, but the weapon was never found. The Queen of Hearts card baffled everyone. Was it a calling card, a taunt, or a clue? Over the years, several similar cases popped up in neighboring states. A man found in his car in New Mexico, a woman in her hotel room in Nevada, both with a playing card placed on their bodies. But the evidence never connected them conclusively. The so-called card killer remains a phantom, and Lisa's case is still open. Detectives admit off the record that this case is their white whale, unsolvable, unfathomable, unforgettable. Now, let's move from the Southwest to the icy streets of Chicago, where in 1979, the city was gripped by a series of murders that seemed to have been ripped from a horror film. 6 young women, all students at different universities, disappeared within a 6-month period. Their bodies were eventually discovered in abandoned buildings, each one positioned in a grotesque tableau, surrounded by objects that seemed to have no connection to each other. A chess piece, a broken watch, a red balloon, a children's book, a single shoe, and a burnt photograph. The media dubbed the killer the collector. Investigators were stumped. None of the victims knew each other. The objects left behind couldn't be traced to the victims or the killer. The murders stopped as suddenly as they began. Decades later, cold case detectives have combed through every piece of evidence with modern forensics, but nothing new has emerged. The city's most notorious serial killer may have walked away forever, blending into the crowd, while the families of the victims are left to wonder what connected their loved ones in death. But sometimes the most chilling mysteries aren't the work of a serial killer, but of a single act so bizarre it makes seasoned detectives question everything they know about motive and opportunity. Consider the case of the Somerton man, found dead on a beach near Adelaide, Australia, in 1948. The man carried no identification, wore clothes with all the labels carefully removed, and had a cryptic note in his pocket that read, "Tamam shud," Persian for ended. The autopsy revealed no cause of death. Hidden in a secret pocket of his pants was a scrap of paper with a code that has never been deciphered. Despite exhaustive efforts, his identity remains unknown, and his death unsolved. The Somerton man's case is a masterclass in true crime mystery. No motive, no weapon, no answers. Just endless questions. Back in the United States, we find a case so strange, it reads like a cautionary tale for the digital age. In 2014, in a suburb of Seattle, 26-year-old tech entrepreneur Gavin Price was found dead in his high-security, keycard access apartment. The door was locked from the inside, the security system untouched, and no one was seen entering or leaving the building around the time of death. Price had been working on a secretive blockchain startup, rumored to be worth millions. There were no signs of struggle, no drugs or alcohol in his system, and nothing stolen from the apartment except his encrypted laptop, which has never been recovered. What makes Gavin Price's murder so bizarre are the layers of digital mystery. Just hours before his death, his social media accounts posted cryptic messages, lines of code, fragments of poetry, and warnings about the wolf in the network. His business partners were questioned, his financial records scrutinized, but nothing pointed to a clear suspect. The FBI's cybercrime unit was called in, but even they hit a wall. Some theorize he was killed by a rival in the cutthroat world of cryptocurrency. Others believe it was a personal vendetta, or even a murder for hire orchestrated through the dark web. But with no physical evidence and no digital trail, Price's murder remains an open wound in the world of high-tech crime. Let's step back in time to the 1930s, to Cleveland, Ohio, where the city was terrorized by a killer whose methods were as gruesome as they were mystifying. Between 1935 and 1938, at least 12 victims, though some say the real number is much higher, were found dismembered, their bodies scattered in the area known as Kingsbury Run. The killer, known as the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, chose victims from society's fringes: the homeless, the unemployed, the forgotten. But the precision of the dissection suggested medical knowledge, maybe even surgical training. Detective Elliot Ness, famous for bringing down Al Capone, was put in charge of the case. Despite a massive manhunt, stakeouts, and round-the-clock surveillance, the killer was never caught. Ness even raided shanty towns, hoping to flush out the suspect, but it was all in vain. Over time, the murders stopped, but the mystery remained. Was the butcher a doctor, a failed medical student, or simply a monster who slipped through the cracks? Even with today's forensic technology, the case remains unsolved, a chilling reminder that some monsters are never unmasked. Fast forward to the modern era, and technology has created new kinds of mysteries. In 2018, in the heart of San Francisco's tech corridor, 29-year-old software developer Emily Chen vanished without a trace. She was last seen leaving her office late at night, her security badge swiped at the exit. Her car was found parked a few blocks away, purse and phone inside, untouched. Weeks later, a single encrypted email was sent from her account to her parents. The subject line was a string of numbers and letters, believed by experts to be a code, but one that no one has been able to crack. Her bank accounts have remained untouched, her social media silent. Some believe she was the victim of a targeted abduction linked to her work on sensitive government contracts. Others suspect an elaborate suicide or voluntary disappearance. But without a body, a motive, or a single clue, the case remains open, and Emily Chen's loved ones are left with only questions and the ghosts of what might have been. True crime isn't just about the act of murder. It's about the aftermath, the ripple effects that haunt communities for decades. In the small town of Villisca, Iowa, the 1912 axe murders remain one of America's oldest and most disturbing unsolved cases. 8 people, 2 adults and 6 children, were slaughtered in their beds, their faces covered with sheets, mirrors in the house draped in cloth. The killer left behind a bloody axe, but no fingerprints, no footprints, no motive. Over 100 years later, the house still stands, a chilling monument to a crime that defies explanation. Suspects ranged from traveling preachers to jealous lovers, but no one was ever charged. For the people of Villisca, the murders are more than history. They're a living legend, a cautionary tale whispered on dark nights. Sometimes, the most bizarre murders seem to come from another world entirely. In 1996, in the English village of Tamworth, a man known only as Peter Smith checked into a small hotel under a false name. 3 days later, he was found dead in his room, his body arranged in a ritualistic pose, surrounded by strange symbols drawn in chalk on the floor. The autopsy revealed he had died of cyanide poisoning, but no poison was found in the room. His fingerprints matched no one in any database. His DNA didn't match any missing persons. The symbols were studied by experts in religion, cults, and the occult, but no one could identify their meaning. Theories ranged from secret societies to espionage, but the case remains open, a puzzle with too many missing pieces. Let's turn to one of the most chilling unsolved murders in modern history. The case of the Long Island serial killer. For over a decade, the remains of at least 10 victims, mostly young women linked to the sex trade, have been found scattered along the remote stretch of Gilgo Beach. The killer's method is as cold as it is calculated: dismemberment, careful disposal, and a total lack of forensic evidence. Despite intensive efforts by multiple police agencies, including the FBI, the killer remains unidentified. Theories abound. A police officer, a wealthy local, even a truck driver with a territory that spans the eastern seaboard. But with every new body, the mystery only grows. The families of the victims have become activists, demanding answers, but the killer's identity remains as elusive as the shifting sands of the beach itself. No list of bizarre unsolved murders would be complete without mentioning the infamous Zodiac Killer. Between the late 1960s and early 1970s, the Zodiac taunted police and the public with cryptic letters, ciphers, and phone calls. He claimed responsibility for at least 5 murders, possibly many more. His coded messages have stumped cryptologists for decades. In 2020, a team of amateur sleuths cracked one of his ciphers, but it revealed only more taunts. The Zodiac's identity remains a mystery, even as suspects have come and gone. The case is a testament to the killer's twisted genius and the limits of law enforcement. Every few years, a new theory emerges, a new suspect, a new claim, but the truth remains just out of reach. The world of true crime is filled with stories of murderers who vanish like smoke, leaving only pain and mystery behind. In 2009, a case in Toronto captured the world's attention. A young woman named Arabelle Sinclair, a university student and aspiring writer, was found dead in her apartment. The doors and windows were locked. The only thing missing was her latest manuscript. On her desk was a note. "The end is just the beginning." There were no signs of struggle, no toxic substances in her system, and no evidence of forced entry. Her computer was wiped clean, and her phone had been reset to factory settings. Some believe she was killed by someone close to her. Others think her death was connected to the strange, fictionalized stories she wrote, stories about murder, secrets, and betrayal. To this day, her case remains open, her voice silenced, her story unfinished. What makes these cases so haunting isn't just the lack of answers. It's the sense that the killer could still be out there, blending into the crowd, living an ordinary life. It's the knowledge that some crimes are so strange, so perfectly executed, that they might never be solved. For detectives, these cases are a nightmare. Every lead is a dead end. Every clue seems to point in a different direction. And the families of the victims are left with nothing but grief and endless questions. As we've seen tonight, the world is full of mysteries that defy explanation. Some murderers are caught, some are never even suspected. But the most bizarre unsolved murders, the ones that haunt detectives, are the ones that seem to come from another world. They leave behind a trail of broken lives, shattered communities, and questions that will never be answered. If you found these stories as chilling as we did, make sure to subscribe to Chilling Mysteries for more deep dives into the world's most perplexing true crime cases. Which case haunted you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you next time on Chilling Mysteries.